My brother and I are 13 years apart. Though this may seem like a bizarre age gap for us to work, many parents choose to have their children back to back. And statistics have proven this, because on average, siblings are only 2.5 years apart. A random statistic I just told you, but is only a part of the conversation we're about to have. There are many generational differences, and today we will be gathered here to talk about them. Think about your siblings. Even with just a few years difference, they might navigate the world a little differently. Are they light years ahead on TikTok trends or stuck in the landline era? This sibling dynamic, writ large, is generational evolution. But do we all agree with which generation we fall into? A quick Google search will show us that there are 6 remaining generations: the silent generation, baby boomers, Generation X, Generation Y, Generation Z, and Generation Alpha. Generation Alpha started in the year 2013 and is still a continuous generation which both my brother and baby sister are a part of. Generation Z was between the years 1997 and ended in 2012, which is my generation. Generation Y, or millennials, are between the ages of 28 and 43, while Generation X are in their late 40s to early 50s, meaning baby boomers are most likely retired. The silent generation, the oldest generation, are between the ages of 74 and 91, meaning they have lived out most of their lives and are ready to let go. The silent generation serves as a reminder of how quickly the world can change, because each generation inherits a different world shaped by the choices they have made. Hence the title of this TED Talk. Each generation will end simultaneously every 15 to 20 years. So, as I had said before, each generation will be affected by drastic change. But with all of this change, will we be able to keep up? Generational differences occur from many things: technological, cultural, and historical aspects. So let's talk a little bit about them. Baby boomers grew up during a time of economic prosperity and societal advancement, meaning they value hard labor, hard work, obedience, and old institutions. Generation X grew up during a time of societal transition and economic turmoil. This means they value skepticism and may be noted for their tenacity. Generation Y grew up during a time of technology and internet, meaning they were able to claim something that nobody else had. They may be known to be tech-savvy and entitled because of this power. Generation Z is the most varied group throughout history, meaning we are known to be practical, innovative, and politically involved. This is because we grew up during a time of instability in politics, the exponential growth of social media, and many other problems. Now that we've talked a little bit about each generation, let's talk about the stereotypes and generalizations we've casted on them. Baby boomers, as I had said before, are known workaholics who find technology challenging, while Generation X are known to be way too independent and kind of a cynical mind. While Generation X, I had said before, were entitled and tech-savvy because they were able to claim something nobody else had. They were born to a digital era, and they were proud of it. Generation Z are known to be impatient, non-compliant, and also sometimes entitled as well. Now, let's look at different types of ways that generational choices are affecting different styles. For instance, fashion. Baby boomers were in a time where professional outfits were very common. They dressed to impress, meaning they wanted to reflect their clothing with their professionality. So they leaned more for the tailored suit and leisure outlook. Generation X were leaning into their self-expression, meaning they valued comfort over anything, also provoking the grunge era in the late 80s. Now, if we look at Generation Y, we see that everybody wanted to look like Shalom Harlow and Naomi Campbell. Supermodel chic, they called it. And if we look at Generation Z, we focused a little bit more on environmental sustainability, because though we wanted to look like supermodels, we also wanted to make sure that nothing was going wrong with the planet. Even music had an impact on these different age groups. For instance, baby boomers grew up during a time where jazzy tunes and classical music were very important. Therefore, folk music, doo-wop, boy and girl bands were common, while Generation X diverted their ideas and focused more on rock and roll, punk, metal. Remember I had said the grunge era? This is when it started. In Generation Y, pop, hip-hop, and subgenres were formed, meaning EDM, electro music, and many different versions of hip-hop were also born in this era. Generation Z decided to create all of the alternative genres: alternative rock, alternative pop, K-pop, urban pop, Latin pop. I could name so many things, and the list will continue. Let's also look at food, because dietary restrictions also depend on your age. So baby boomers grew up during a time where generational recipes were very important, and everybody appreciated the aspect that a family was able to carry on the tradition. Generation X were known for their workaholism, therefore they decided to have a life filled with protein. While Generation Y or millennials were focused on looking like a supermodel, therefore they had to fit that societal standard with different diets: keto-based, plant-based, and there are many other things that we could add to this. While Generation Z, my generation, I know many friends of mine are guilty of this, use food as a trend rather than a fundamental need. This is my brother. He's 3 years old, and as I had said before, we have 13 years apart. And last year when I visited him in America, I had decided to conduct a little experiment. I gave my phone to both my brother and sister to see what they would do with it. How would they interact with technology at such a young age? When I gave my phone to my sister, she was looking around, scrolling, opening up apps, and just going through everything. But my brother, on the other hand, decided to go through and watch videos. And he was looking at a channel called Cocomelon, something you may be familiar with. And as he was looking through the videos, he stumbled across an app, and without any hesitation, he decided to grab my finger and put on the Touch ID to be able to purchase it. Now, how could a 2-year-old at that time know how to be able to download an app by simply putting your finger onto the Touch ID? Now, I was shocked, but I wasn't even more shocked when I asked my dad. And he had said that this had happened before, and this keeps on happening every time he has a phone in his hand. Meaning, technology was basically integrated into his DNA from such a young age. But another thing I would like to talk about is the world was much different when I was 3 compared to when he was 3. So let's look at that for a second. In 2011, when I was 3, Steve Jobs had recently died, the Curiosity rover was launched, MySpace became irrelevant, and there was a tsunami in Japan. But we weren't aware of the environmentalist actions we are aware of now. Meaning, though there is AI taking over the world in many different places, there's inflation in the world, political change is leaving countries either unified or divided, and social media is becoming even bigger than we had ever hoped it was, we know that the world is at stake, and we are working to be able to save it. We are living in a world passed down by millennials, as us Gen Zers try to navigate and change it. So in 10 years, our hands will have molded a world for Generation Alpha. And Generation Alpha are showing us clear signs that humans and technology are slowly becoming one. This year, we focus on the topic metamorphosis. You could think about Franz Kafka's book, or caterpillar transforming into a butterfly. Think of familial trauma. Familial trauma starts all the way at the beginning with factors like poverty, sexual abuse, domestic abuse, and war. But my generation stops to change this. And also, there can never be peace in a world filled with racism, sexism, greed, and hatred. But I fight to make this world, a better place for both my baby brother and baby sister to live in. So, my question is, are you still here? Thank you for listening.